Shalom. I am Rabbi Davidovich, speaking to you on behalf of the webyeshiva.org. I'm going to discuss this particular week's Torah reading, and we have the Parsha of Mishpatim. That's the Torah reading that follows the giving of the commandments in last week's Parsha of Yitro. But we also have a special reading on this Shabbat. It's called Shabbat Shekalim, where we read about the necessity of giving half a shekel to the upkeep of the Mishkan, of the sanctuary of the tabernacle, by every single Jew. And I'm going to try to connect these things and show how the Torah is teaching us through the couple of examples of these readings, the importance of unity and the importance of being concerned about somebody else's needs, being aware of what you're doing. First of all, in Mishpatim, the Parsha of Mishpatim deals with civil laws between man and his fellow man, laws that talk about how one has to follow certain set laws, and contrary to laws set by various legislatures, which are always subject to change and are always changing, the civil laws set by the Torah are immutable. They don't depend on what the particular mores of the time are. They're God-given laws, and we have to keep them and abide by them. And they're laws that teach us how we live in a society for each of us. The Parsha of Shekalim is a different Parsha, but we read that section in this week's Parsha, and it talks about the requirement of every Jew giving 1/2 shekel for the upkeep of the sanctuary. These two parshas, I'm taking just a very small slice of what can be said about Mishpatim, because there's lots of things, but these two things teach us the importance of unity and the importance of being concerned about somebody else. First of all, the Parsha of Mishpatim. Let's just take one example. There's many, but let's take one. The Parsha says, "V'chiyifte ish bor v'nafal shama shor o chamor v'chulu." It's if a person opens up a pit and an ox or a donkey fall into the pit, or a person, he's liable to pay damages for the act. And it's interesting, it first talks about somebody who opens a pit. And then it talks about somebody who digs a pit. But the first level is somebody opening a pit. Torah is teaching us that our responsibility to others is we have to make sure that we don't do anything by our actions that would hurt somebody else, including uncovering something that was placed by somebody else. We didn't dig the pit, but if we uncover it and then somebody falls into it, we're liable. Similarly, the Torah is teaching us how concerned we have to be about not making somebody go through an extra effort. And that can be illustrated by the following story, which was brought down by Rabbi Twersky, alav shalom, of blessed memory, about the Chofetz Chaim, who was walking with some people, with his students in the street, and he saw a piece of paper lying on the ground. And he thought it might be a part of a sacred scroll, part of a holy book. So he bent down to pick it up, and he saw that it wasn't that. It was just a plain piece of paper, so he threw it back on the ground. He walks a few steps further, and then he suddenly turns back and goes back and picks it up again. And his students ask him, "Why did you do that? It wasn't a holy bit of paper." Why did you have to go back and do that? He says, just as I had to bend down to pick it up, I don't want to cause somebody else who might come by and think it's a piece of a sacred scroll and then bend down and have to go through a needless effort. That is the level to which the Torah is teaching us to be careful about how we deal with somebody else. And that's an amazing thing, that small little thing like that. Don't do something that's going to inconvenience somebody else, let alone to hurt somebody else. That's taking to the extreme, and that's how we have to behave as Jews. That's what the Torah tells us. Then we read this special portion of Shekalim, and Shekalim begins as follows. It says, when you count the sum of the people, the children of Israel, according to their number, then every person that passes by for the counting should give half a shekel, half a silver shekel. And the Torah goes on to say that everybody must give the half shekel. Somebody who is rich may only give the half shekel. Somebody who is poor has to go out and borrow the money if need be to pay this half shekel. What was the half shekel used for? The half shekel was used for the adanim of the Mishkan, the foundation of the Mishkan. The foundation of the Mishkan was, the silver foundation was built by this money. Why is it that we're told that anybody must give only a half shekel? We had certainly other contributions where it says people gives whatever they're able to do, whatever their heart desires to do. But for the foundation of the Mishkan, we can only give a half shekel. So there's an interesting comment that is made by Rabbi of Salant, who says that the Torah consists, as we know, of 613 commandments. Now we see that Davidovich reduced these commandments to a more limited number. Habakkuk, the prophet, reduced them to one, and his one was Tzadik be'emunah yichya. A righteous person lives by his emunah. And he says the reason that these are given only for the foundation is that the foundation of Judaism is emunah. Foundation is belief and trust in God. Once you have that, there will be no question. You will observe the commandments. If you have faith in God and understand that God gave us the Torah, you will understand that it's not for us to decide, is this a commandment I should or should not fulfill? Now, the fact that this is given equally teaches us the importance of achdut. God wants the Jewish people to be united, wants all people to be united, but the Jewish people specifically have to be united. By us being united, then we'll be a light to the rest of the world to show them the importance of unity. And this unity is shown by putting us on an equal level of supporting emunah, the foundation. Whether you are well learned in Torah, whether you are not learned at all, it doesn't make any difference as to your emunah. Your emunah, your faith in God, is the basis for everything. And if you don't have emunah, all the Torah that you learn is meaningless unless you can believe that everything comes from God. So I urge all of us to take these concepts into our mind. And one of the last things that the Davidovich Shalom points out, that the Mishkan, the tabernacle, was the place where the Shekhinah, the presence of God, brought his physical presence into this world. And he says, therefore, where God says to us, "Voseli mikdash v'shachanti b'socham I want you to make a sanctuary. I'll dwell within you, within each of us. That's the concept of unity. God wants us to be united. Parsha Shekalim teaches us that. Let's all work on unity above people, with people, unity with people, and let's not do things that not only anger other people, but in fact inconvenience other people. Thank you for listening on behalf of the webbeshiva.org. I wish everybody a Shabbat Shalom.